parishioners, I see guests. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for being here. This is the first of our speaker sessions. We're super excited about this offering for the church and everybody else that's able to be here. I have the privilege of introducing David Vanderheiden. Him and I have known each other since kindergarten. We both attended school here. We were great friends all through about 8th grade. We kind of lost contact throughout high school and into our adult years. About 6-7 years ago, we reconnected. Him and I, we had a good talk. I knew he had been dealing with some things. He started telling me about his story, and instantly, I was a police officer at the time, and that story resonated with me. I knew it would resonate with people that I was dealing with at that time. So I kind of put the bug in his ear at that point that, this story needs to be told. And there's a lot of people that he can help by telling his story. So it's been fun getting to re-know him. It's been fun hearing his story come to life, if you will. So it's my pleasure to introduce David Vanderheiden.
All right, thanks, Dave. So like Dave said, I knew him all the way back when we were in kindergarten. Funny little story here. Actually, until I was 8 years old, I lived on St. Mary Street, right over there. So I used to walk to this very school. I lived right there where you're sitting. I actually broke my wrist in 6th grade. So Dave was actually the first one to come to my aid. He said I did not cry, so I had to, keep a little masculinity that way. So like I said, I grew up in this area. I went to this school. I was here when it was St. Joe's, then it turned into Marquette, and then now it's Our Lady of Lourdes here. So I went through 3 different schools all in one building right there. So I graduated here in 1998, went on to West Superior High School, graduated West Superior High School in 2002. Bounced around at a few jobs, stayed in a few places for a little while, and now I'm actually a fitness coach at Experience Fitness right here in Green Bay. So after about 35 years of my life, I decided to actually follow my dream, and now I'm helping people with fitness, and now this is another dream that I do have. So what I'm here to talk to you about today is red flags. Red flags like defiance, seclusion, personality change, grades slipping, things like that could have been caught in my own life, that if I would have seen those, maybe things could have been a little different for me. So I have a question for you. I want you to think over the course of your life, are there any red flags that maybe you could have seen that maybe could have altered the course of your life a little bit? Would you have thought about things a little bit more? Would you have done things a little bit differently? I think we all would. So I'm going to take you back to the night of April 3rd, 2004. I was 20 years old at this time. I was out at a college party, and I started drinking pretty heavily. Yes, I was underage. I was 20 years old at the time. I actually saw an ex-girlfriend walk into the same party that I was at, and something inside me just kind of snapped. I blacked out. I started drinking really heavily, and I blacked out. 1 minute I remember being at this party, and the next minute I remember my life completely changed. So I want to take a second here, and I want you to try to think about the coldest that you have ever been in your entire life. That type of cold where it doesn't matter how many blankets that you have on you, you can't stop shivering. No matter what you do, you can't stop shivering. You're just freezing all the way down to your bones. I want you to think about the most confused that you've ever been in your entire life. How did I get here? What just happened? On top of that, I want you to think about the most scared you've ever been in your entire life. And I'm not talking about that kind of scared where in Wisconsin here, we look at the weather, it's supposed to snow, how am I going to get to work, am I going to be safe? I'm not talking about that type of scare. I'm talking about the type of scare where you don't know whether you just died. The type of scare where you have no idea what just happened. That fear, am I going to live? Am I going to die? You have no idea. I experienced all that in a matter of 5 seconds that night. So like I said, I was at this party at St. Norbert College. drinking. Next thing I know, I remember hearing squealing tires. And that cold that I just asked you to think about, I felt. That confusion that I just asked you to think about, I felt. That fear, I felt. As I found myself standing in a box river, neck deep in water, looking at my car completely submerged. How did I get here? How did I get about a mile and a half north of Wrightstown on Double Z? And if anybody in here is familiar with that road, you know how curvy it is. You know how close it runs to the water. How did I get here? How am I standing at this in front of my vehicle right now? Neck deep, freezing. Because as you can imagine, now we're turning into the morning of April 4th at about 2:30 a.m. You can imagine how cold the air is. You can imagine how cold the water is at that point. The water's barely above freezing at that point, it felt like. It felt like there was 1,000 knives being stabbed into me all at once. I had no way to go for help at this point because my car's underwater. That's where my phone was. So I eventually found where the shore was. I started to move towards it. I had a blinding pain going through the left side of my arm, all the way down my left arm. I wasn't sure why, but I had all this pain going through. So I started walking to the shore, knowing that I had to get out and I had to find a way to get help. Get to the shoreline, find a tree, use my one good arm at this point to pull myself up. And I find myself standing on Double Z now, just outside of Redstown. What's my next move? I look around and I find a house that's roughly about 1/8 of a mile away. So I walk up to that house. Again, it's about 2:30 in the morning, so you can imagine how irritated this couple was when I was ringing the doorbell and when they opened up the door. Very irritated. They thought I was just some punk kid that was playing some sort of prank. And then they turned on the light. They saw blood rushing out of my face. Blood rushing out of my neck. Completely soaked. Completely freezing. And thank God for them, because if it wasn't for them, I probably would have died that night because they brought me into their house. They got me out of my wet clothes. They turned the heat up, they threw blankets over me, and eventually called 911, obviously, to make sure that they could get the help that I needed that night. And at this point, the reality of what just happened is starting to set in. I knew I was drinking. I also knew that the cops were coming. I knew that I'm about to get into trouble, along with this nice little ride to the hospital that I had to take. So the police officer gets there first, starts asking me questions. Yes, I've been drinking, there's no point in lying, right? They're gonna find out no matter what, so why make it worse for myself? Then the paramedics get there. They look over me and they decide that they're gonna take me to the hospital, they strap me to a stretcher, put me in the back of an ambulance. And that 20-minute ride to St. Vincent's Hospital felt like about 20 hours. But that 20-minute ride gave me the opportunity to look back and think, how did I get to this point? How did I get here? How did I get to the back of this ambulance? Completely soaked, freezing, bleeding out of my neck and my face. So as I start thinking about over the course of my life, I go back to April 20th of 1994. This is a moment that forever changed me. At about 5 p.m. on April 20th of 1994, we get a call. My mom answers, immediately drops the phone in tears. Her father, my grandfather, suddenly passed away. Now I'm 10 years old at this point. I understood what death was, but I never actually went through it. At least not to this extent. See, I was unbelievably close with him. I always felt like I was his little buddy. I can't tell you how many hours we spent fishing. We had a cabin up in Pembine, and if you're familiar with Pembine, or not familiar, it's about 90 miles north of Green Bay. campfires, fish fries. I can't tell you how many Christmas mornings I remember with having him playing with my toys, by the way, that I just got. Still remember when we got our Nintendo, but that's a whole other story. Let's just say he played Duck Hunt for hours. But I always felt like I was his little buddy. I was so close with him. I loved him more than anything. He was, and he still is my best friend. I'll always consider him that. So much that I actually have him tattooed on my left arm. But I was angry. Because not only was I heartbroken, I never got a chance to say goodbye. He just suddenly was gone. I talked to him the day before. And now I'll never be able to speak to him again. That was my thought process. And over the course of the next few days, I actually found that if I had a couple of beers, it will take away the pain for just a little bit. That's scary at 10 years old, isn't it? To think that alcohol will take away your pain. Well, that got said for me at a very young age. I was very good at hiding it from my family, very good at hiding it from my friends. I found a way to do it. But any time that I felt pain at this point, I was going to have a couple of beers, or I would find a way to go into my parents' liquor cabinet and pour a little bit of whiskey, then a little bit of vodka, then a little bit of tequila, mix it all up, throw a little Dr. Pepper on top, just to make sure it tasted good, right? It's actually pretty disgusting. So, not going to lie about that. But I found ways to do it just to mask the pain because I was so angry at this point. At this point, my grandfather died as well. I was a very good student. Actually, what they had considered high honor roll right here in this school. I went from being high honor roll to barely passing all the way through middle school. It was at the point where I had to do a bunch of makeup work just so I did not get held back. That's how drastic it was. It wasn't just a little downward, no, it was a straight nosedive. So right there, you can see that as a red flag. I was defying the school, I was defying my parents there. And when I look back on it now, that was a way that I would seclude myself. Because it's easy when you're grounded, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just lock yourself in your room, right? So I started to seclude myself in that way. Another red flag that I wish I would have seen is, I'm a big baseball nerd, just so you know. I could tell you so much about all the top 100 prospects in Major League Baseball right now, it's not even fun. And I played baseball, I played Little League. And then I played 13-year-old league, and then I just quit. For no reason whatsoever. A sport that I absolutely was passionate about, something I loved doing, I just stopped. There's the red flag right there. Personality change. You see the seclusion, the defiance, all of that started to come into play before I even really hit my teenage years. I'm drinking at least once or twice a week all the way through middle school, which is obviously a lot more than what you should. I just found ways to do it. And now we get into high school. In high school, I actually found an escape from my anger, an escape from my pain. I started to play football. Because I got permission, I can hit someone as hard as I can, and I can't get in trouble for it. What's better than that, right? I mean, I got 3 concussions to prove it, but still. I started to find football as an escape for me. A way to get out my anger, my aggression. I actually started to become good at it. So I started to really try. I started to really train, actually. This is the first time that I've ever really introduced myself to working out. I was going through a weightlifting regimen, and actually at 16 years old, I'd probably say that I could bench 275 pounds and I could squat 500 pounds at that point. Being a personal trainer now, I would love to go back and check my own form, but it didn't have video evidence back then, so, I would love to go back and see that pump version of me right there, so. But anyway, I was training 4 or 5 days a week, I was running, I was lifting, and I started to turn some of the coaches' heads. Now, Bill Turnquist, Dexter McNabb. These are some of the coaches that I had when I was in high school. I don't know if those names ring a bell for anybody in here. I see a couple smiles, so they do. They started to notice me as I go through my freshman and sophomore years. And I thought to myself, as I go into my junior year of high school, I have an opportunity to start. I have an opportunity to be varsity starter as a junior. That's a pretty big deal. You know, it's a pretty good social standing in high school, right? You know, you're a jock, you're a starting football player. You know, it's pretty cool stuff right there. So I'm really putting all my time and effort at this point into working out so I continue to get better, so I give myself an opportunity to start. But then I had a little hiccup happen while I was doing this. See, in the spring of my sophomore year, so we're into 2000 now, the year 2000, we get a call at about 7 o'clock in the morning from my other grandmother, my dad's mom. She told me that my grandfather went into the hospital with chest pain. So now my other grandfather's having some sort of heart issue. And it turns out he needed to have a set of bypasses. I didn't even know you could have that. I didn't know you could have that many. So that was a little bit of a shock to the system for me. So my training for football kind of took a little bit of a back seat at this point, because now I'm running to and from their houses to really help out, because now he can't cut lawn, he can't do things around the house. And my grandmother at this point, she was about 5 feet tall, about 90 pounds. She couldn't do really any heavy lifting. She couldn't handle cutting a lot of lawn or anything like that. And being the youngest of 3, you know, my brother and sister were gone. So it really started to fall on me a lot more. But over the course of that time when this happened, I actually developed a really close bond with my grandparents there, as my grandfather tried to rehabilitate from those 7 bypasses. I was never really close with them leading up to that point. There was always a little distance, always a little disconnect there. But now all of a sudden that disconnect, that distance, started to become less and less and less. So he's had the surgery, started to go through his rehabilitation, but for him it ended up being one thing after another. You know, it started with the bypasses, then it went to a staph infection, then it went to pneumonia. And I'll touch on that more in a little bit here. So this is going on all the way through the rest of my sophomore year, going into my junior year of high school. And right now, training camp is about to start. This is my opportunity to shine. This is my opportunity to show that I belong to be a starter. All the blood, sweat, and tears that I put in that weight room, it's my time. As soon as I walked into training camp, I realized it wasn't. I never even got the luck. I never even got an opportunity to compete. I got put on the back burner. Wow. So the hundreds of hours that I spent in the weight room meant nothing. And that set another precedent in my head, because I already told you that I use drinking as an escape to really mask what you're really feeling. And now it gets put in my head, it doesn't matter how hard you work, it just matters who you are. It doesn't matter how much work you put in. That's a scary thing for a 16-year-old kid to think at this time, about to be 17 years old. I put everything I had into it just to get thrown into the back like I didn't even matter. What is there to comfort me when this is going on? My good old friend alcohol, right? So there I am, just trying to get through the year, that year of football, feeling disrespected. Never got my shot, and now drinking is starting to really become an issue. Because when you're in high school, it's a lot easier to get alcohol than it was when you're in middle school. You always got friends, or friends' parents, or ways to find a way to get alcohol. And it got to the point where my junior year, actually right over there in Helena Street, if you're familiar with it, it's about a block that way, I got my first underage drinking. My first and only, actually, but I got an underage drinking ticket right over there. I just did not care anymore. I was angry. I was angry at the coaches for not giving me a shot. I'm angry that all the hard work that I put into that point meant nothing. So I'm just going to drink my problems away. It's a good solution, right? No. So I get through that junior year of football, and I'm trying to make a decision on whether I actually want to play the next year or not. I wasn't sure. All that work I put in meant nothing, so why would I want to put myself through that again? Wouldn't it just be easier to quit? Word got around, and some of my teammates and friends really started to blast me for it. Calling me a quitter, calling me a crybaby. When you're trying to make a decision like that, that doesn't make it any easier. At one point I felt like I was more pressured into playing than I was making my own decision. But ultimately I did decide that I was going to play. It just wasn't an easy decision, and I didn't feel like it was my decision. But to me, football was something that I loved up to that point. And I was trying to think on whether I actually wanted to play or not. Right there could have been another red flag, along with that underage drinking ticket that I just received in that fall. Those should have been red flags that I could have seen that something is going on. I am screaming for help right now. But I didn't see it. My family didn't see it because I became a master of hiding what was really going on. So I get through my junior year, get into my senior year. Like I said, I decided to play football. Get through that senior year, and I played pretty well. I played so well to the point that I actually got an opportunity to play football at Lakeland College. Lakeland College is down in Howard's Grove, down by Sheboygan, if you're unfamiliar with it. Just a small little D3 school that's literally in the middle of 3 cornfields. So, you just hit that 3rd cornfield, take a lap, and you can't miss it, right? No lie, by the way. No lie. So, I actually got an opportunity to play football at Lakeland College there. Alright, so, I'm going to take the rest of my high school career to prep myself to play football. This is going to be awesome, right? Now I'm going to go from a high school football player to a college football player. This is going to be like the best time of my life. So we're in the spring of 2002, and I'm winding down my college academic career, which, again, I would always just do enough to get by. I think I actually graduated with a 2.3 GPA or something like that. Nothing too crazy, nothing too special. But on April 23rd of 2002, my grandfather passed away. Like I said, he had the bypasses, then the staph infection, pneumonia. Eventually he developed leukemia and lost that battle. And that was a hard loss, even though I wasn't as close with him as I was with my mom's dad, my other grandfather that passed away in 1994. Like I said, I started to develop a bond with him. A bond that I didn't even know I had until after he was gone. But I was a little better with this one because I actually got an opportunity to say goodbye. I didn't have that opportunity the first time around when I had to deal with it. Now I actually had an opportunity to say goodbye. So I felt like I had a little better closure on it. So after he passed away, I spent a little more time with my grandmother. They were married for over 50 years. They were each other's life. They were each other's world. So I would take the time to make sure that I stopped over there, even though I was working to try to save as much money I can for college. I was trying to work out so I could be ready for football, that coming fall for college football there. I always try to take that time. Whether it was cutting the lawn and then taking that extra 15 minutes to sit down and just talk to her. Whether it was bringing a friend over there randomly and just stopping in just to talk to her for a half hour. Whatever it is. So that's the way I spent my summer, going into my freshman year of college. So I report down to training camp. This is August of 2002 now. 18 years old, about to be 19. Think I got life by the horns right there, thinking that this is going to be awesome. I think I've said that a couple of times now. I get a call, mid-September of 2002. It was from my mom, my grandmother that I spent hours upon hours going over to her house, talking to her, cutting her lawn, just had a massive stroke. She had maybe 2 or 3 weeks left to live. Wow. Not only did I lose my grandfather, her husband, not even 5 months prior, but now she's on her own deathbed. It's a lot to take in. And the next few weeks of my life, we're literally driving to and from Sheboygan up to Green Bay, just so I could try to be with my family over the course of this time. On October 8th, she passed away. And again, it was hard, but I got to say goodbye. And I was good with it for about 20 minutes after she died. And then my mom gave me a note. She looked at me and said, "Dave, Grandma gave this to me to give to you. The last time I saw her before the stroke. And I forgot about it. But I'm giving it to you now. And I'm going to leave the content of that note to myself outside of the last line, because that's something between me and my grandmother that I cherish. On the bottom of that note, it said, P.S. Buy yourself a little treat on me with a $10 bill. I've never cried that hard in my life. At that moment, I didn't realize how close I was with them, how important I was with them. I knew I was developing a bond, but I didn't know how much it meant until I read that note. And I cried like I was a little 5-year-old that just stubbed their toe. I was crying and crying and crying. So we go through the funeral. It was tough, but we made it through. And then I went back down to college thinking, okay, Grandma and Grandpa just died, maybe I can get back to college, maybe things will start to be normal again. I can kind of get back to football, I can get back to school, I can get back to all those things. Well, shortly after my grandmother died, actually on October 17th, I had one of my teammates and friends from college. He stopped by the door. He wanted to just see how I was, see how things were going, making sure I was okay. And I thanked him for stopping by. It was a really nice gesture. So, I'm getting through, it's okay. It was a tough couple of months, but we got there. I'm going to be okay. So he left. Now I want you all to think for a second here. You know how they say everything happens in threes, right? You hear that saying? Up to this point, that was 2. My grandfather and my grandmother died. A couple hours after my friend David left, we get a knock on our dorm room. A couple of police officers asked me, "Have you seen Devin tonight?" I said, "Yeah, we saw him a couple hours earlier. He stopped by to see what we were doing. Is there something wrong?" Apparently he was out smoking pot, jumped out of a vehicle, ran across Highway 43 and was struck down by 2 cars, and was immediately killed. There's number 3. And if you want a little cherry on top, my birthday happens to be October 17th. So I just lost a friend of mine, a teammate, on my birthday. Not even in the last 6 months, I lost a grandfather, a grandmother, and now I lost a friend and a teammate. You want to talk about the definition of being lost? Confused? Angry? I was feeling all that. All I knew at that point is I had to get out of Lakeland College. I could not stay here anymore. I had to leave. I decided I was going to finish up the semester, and after that fall semester was over, I was going to go back home. So I did. Now my parents had an awesome rule. When you graduate high school, if you're going to live in our house, you either got to work or you got to go to school. So I enrolled at a WTC just to just so I could live in their homes. Pretty much. Just so I did enough, just so I could have a place to live. So I rolled at NWTC. At this point, I'm drinking extremely heavily. We're talking 6-7 days a week. And when I say heavily, we're talking about a case of beer minimum every night. That's a lot. Started to feel problems starting to develop here. After I get through that spring semester at NWTC, I decided I didn't know what I wanted to do anymore. So why spend money on tuition if you don't know what you want to do? So now I'm turning into a college dropout. I left NWTC and I started picking up odd jobs. Just because, again, for one, I needed beer money. And two, if I wanted to live in my parents' house, I had to work, right? So, whether it was a gas station or I actually became a business-to-business telemarketer for about 6 months there for a little while, which, by the way, that job sucks. When I talk about being told to screw off 40 times throughout the day, that's a perfect job for you, if you want it. So, but I bounced around. And eventually I found myself at a printing company right here in the area. So I started as a temp in the fall of 2004. So I'm 20, going on 21 at this point. Yeah, sorry, I just got kind of lost there for a second here. I'm getting my own timeline mixed up here. So I ended up, like I said, working as a temp at Our Lady. Now, I got hired as full-time within 6 months after being hired as a temp. I got hired as a manufacturing assistant there, which was a nice job. Gave me a little bit of money. I'm 20 years old, now I'm making 11, 12 bucks an hour. It's pretty good money, but I'm working night shift. And when you're drinking heavily, and you work night shift, and you go to the bar at 7:30, is there a bar closed to get you out? No. So if I wanted to, I could sit there and drink from 7:30 a.m. all the way up until I had to go back to work again that night if I wanted to. I didn't do anything like that. But again, I would drink. I would go there, I would go to the bar after work, I would drink for 4 or 5 hours, head home, wake up, do it all over again. So one night, or one day after work, we were headed over to the bar. One of my friends said, "Dave, you look like you're a little worn down. You look like you're a little tired." I said, "Yeah, kind of been working a lot and not really getting a whole lot of good sleep because passing out when you're drunk is not really considered good sleep right there." I said, "Dave, I'm going to give you something to try." "Okay." He pulls out a bag with a white powder. It's cocaine. I knew about cocaine, but I've never seen it and I never tried cocaine. He said, "Dave, take a line. It'll make you feel better." Holy crap, was he right? It makes you feel invincible. When they say cocaine's a hell of a drug, they're not lying. Imagine you just take 12 espresso shots of coffee all at once. That gives you a little idea of what being on cocaine is like. You get that feeling of invincibility. Nothing can stop you. You don't feel anything. So when you're angry like I was, because not only now have I lost grandparents, obviously I went through that OWI that I got from when I threw my car into the Fox River. I'm angry, and now I found another way outside of alcohol to mask that pain. I didn't care when I was doing cocaine. I can't tell you how many thousands and thousands of dollars that I spent on it. So I spent my 21, 22, 23-year-old years drinking, doing cocaine, doing whatever I could just to make sure I did not get caught so I did not lose my job. It got to the point where I decided one weekend I was going to buy a half ounce of cocaine. Imagine the size of a baseball, but a little bit bigger. That's how much cocaine I bought. 72 hours later, it was gone. I did all of that in the course of one weekend. And it makes me wonder, for one, when I look back at it now, even, how am I still alive? How did my heart not literally blow up in my chest at that point? How did I not see that this was actually becoming an issue, becoming a real problem for me? I'm drinking 6-7 days a week. I'm literally working 40 hours overtime every couple of weeks just so I could buy alcohol, just so I could buy drugs. My personality completely changed. I was no longer the same happy kid I was earlier on in life. I was no longer that 7-8-year-old kid who was the youngest of 3. Parents who loved me dearly. Parents who were always there. Took us on vacations. Gave us everything we needed and even things that we wanted. That kid is completely gone. When I look back on myself, I don't even recognize who I was back then. It's scary. As my friend David will be able to tell you, there were so many pictures during this time period that you can see of my family. There's one person that's not in those pictures, and I'm pretty sure you can guess who that would be. I had no relationship with my family at this point. I drove everybody away because I was angry. I didn't know how else to deal with it. I've defied everything. I've secluded myself. My personality completely changed. My work ethic went down the toilet. Everything was just to get through a shift so I could just start drinking and get my next high. Like I said, it's amazing that I'm still alive today anymore. I don't know how I got through that. So right when I'm at the breaking point of whether I'm going to live or die, because at this point I had no idea, something happened. Something magical actually happened. Something that actually gave me a little bit of faith. You see, I met someone. She's a little younger than me. But, I was 24 years old at this time, drinking, doing a lot of cocaine and all that stuff. But I met somebody who was younger that could not go to the bars. She seemed pretty cool, so I actually started to talk to her. I actually got to know her a little bit. And that started to actually pull me out of the bar. That started to pull me away from the drugs and the alcohol in general. In the first few months after I met her, things were really well. Things went really well. But then it wouldn't. We started to fight a little bit. We started to argue a lot more. It was going to be pretty clear that we were not going to end up together. And right as I was at that point of actually breaking up with her, I got one of those nudges at about 2 a.m. Dave, I think I'm pregnant. Do you want to talk about one of those holy crap moments right there? You want to talk about a little mini freak-out? I'm in this very rocky relationship, and now I could be a father? Wow. So I did what anybody would do at this point. I pulled my butt out of bed, went to Walmart, and got myself a pregnancy test. She was pregnant. Okay, this kind of changes things a little bit. This kind of changes, do I want to really break up with this woman, or do I want to stay together with her? And I decided, you know what, I gotta give this everything I can. If not for me, if not for her, for my unborn child. Because once you find out you're going to become a dad, things change. It's not about you. For the first time that I can remember, I'm finally not just thinking about myself. I'm starting to feel like I'm coming back to that little boy that I was talking about, that happy, great family. I'm starting to feel like I'm coming back to that because of this miracle that is about to happen. I'm about to become a father. So, the 8th of 2009, I had a beautiful little girl born. Name was Skylar. She's pretty cool. So, I'm a little biased, but I became a father, and I'll tell you, there's nothing that will pull you out of the darkest depths of your own soul than when the first time a child wraps her finger around yours, or wraps her hand around your finger. When they say there's nothing like a father's love or a mother's love, they're 110% correct. I'm proud to say at 36 years old, I'm over 11 years clean from cocaine. Ever since I became a dad, I have never touched it since. That was really the smack in the face that I needed to make sure I turned stuff around. When I became a father, I really stopped drinking for the most part. The only time I would ever go out and do anything was we had a bowling league at work. So, maybe I'll have a couple beers when I'm out bowling. But again, I'm a new dad. So I got my priorities. My priorities are much different. Having a kid does not fix your relationship. And that became very evident. And after about 9 months after my daughter was born, me and her mom decided to split up. And it was the best thing. I was really at peace with it. It wasn't a hard thing for me. It was, there was the legal aspect of things that had to be dealt with, but you know what? This is the best thing for us. This is the best thing for my daughter. She can't live in a household that's got so much tension. That's not fair to her. That's not fair to me. That's not fair to her mother. So we decided to split up. And I was okay with that. That was the first time that I really felt like I became a father. Because now it's all on me. I'm the one that's always doing the 3 a.m. wake-ups when she starts crying. I'm the one that's, got to be up all hours of the night if she's sick, whatever it is. Everything fell on me. Cooking, cleaning, all that stuff. So that's the first time I really felt like a father. And that feeling is unbelievable. I can still remember when I was sitting on the couch one time and my daughter climbed up behind me, gave me a hug and said, "I love you, Dad," out of nowhere. You want to talk about weak knees falling to the ground because your heart melts? That's one of those moments right there. So I felt like I was becoming the man that I was supposed to be. I was actually a good father. I'm clean from drugs. I really barely ever drink anymore. I started to really reconnect with my own family to the point where I'm not missing in those same pictures that I was a few years prior. I'm now in those pictures. I have a full album at home that I go through from time to time just looking at some of these moments. It took a while to get to Facebook, so I'm still old school. I got some photo albums, so just when things seem like they're going so well, I own a house, I have a good job, I'm a father, I have a child that I love dearly. There's still something inside me that's broken. There's still something inside me that I never got over. I was still angry about something. I didn't have an off switch when I started really drinking. So the few times that I actually would go out, I went. And that was very evident on February 23rd of 2013. A couple of friends invited me out to the bar after work. So I met them. I'm a Jack drinker. I love my Jack Daniels. Well, one Jack tasted good, so the second one tasted better, right? Then the third, then the fourth, and God knows how many after that. I remember sitting in that same bar, and the next thing I know, I see 2 red taillights. And then I hear a crunching sound. I look down and I'm covered in blood. What the heck just happened? That same fear that I felt back in 2004 when I threw my car into the Fox River, I'm feeling all that same cold, that same confusion, that same fear. And I've come to realize that I just hit a snowplow. That takes skill, because those things are big. They're hard to miss. I hit a snowball. I'm completely bleeding through my nose, all over the place. I went to try to move to open up the door, I could not. I couldn't get out of my truck. I went to slide over to the other side of the truck, try to get out. I couldn't even move my left leg. Every time I tried to move my leg, it burned. It felt like somebody set it on fire. I'm trapped inside my truck. Is my truck going to blow up? What's going to happen? It didn't take long for the police to come. And they were able to try to get one of the windows open. They were able to break a window to talk to me. But I still remember, they asked me, have you been drinking? I said, yeah. There's no point in lying, right? I'm sitting in this mess. Why lie about it? Well, they said, don't worry, the fire department's on the way. They're going to get you out of this truck, and then we're going to get you down to the hospital and check you over. When they got there, the most eerie thing that I've ever heard in my entire life happened. You ever heard of the jaws of life? I was about to get cut out of my truck using the jaws of life. And that snappy sound that I heard, it freaked me out. It took me months and months and months to get over the fact that I could hear that snapping. All they could do was put a blanket over me so I didn't get hit with any metal or anything like that. Right by my head, snap, snap, snap. I'm even thinking about it now, it almost chokes me up to the point where I almost want to cry about it. It's hard to talk about. Because now this is the second time that alcohol should have cost me my life. First time in a Fox River, this time hitting a snowplow. So I get hauled down to the hospital for the second time on a stretcher. It wasn't fun the first time, and I promise you it's not fun the second time either. They start checking me over, and I still remember the officer saying something to my sister. My sister's a police officer, and she was very upset at me because she literally had to come down to the hospital. She had to leave work as a cop to come get her brother who's just getting tagged for another OWI. My sister's a very opinionated person. So you can imagine the words that she said to me, in private of course, but just her feelings. But I remember the police officer said one thing to her. He said, you know, he made a dumb decision, but he's a really good guy. There's just something about him. He's a nice man. He's a good man. And when she told me that, and this was several days after, that's when I started to come at peace with who I am. Not only do I now have a very close bond with my family that has developed, especially after my daughter was born, but now I'm hearing validation that I'm actually a good person. I'm not this drunk. I'm not this drug addict that I used to be. I'm not this lost, angry person as much anymore. And in one of my darkest days, to hear somebody say that they feel like I'm actually a good man, that is something that's amazing to hear, and that's something that I really needed to hear. But that part of the story is not quite over yet, because this is now OWI number 2. Jail time. So I go through the court processes, and I got 30 days in jail, 22 with good time. I know it doesn't sound like much until you're actually sitting there. It's hell. You want to talk about food that's inedible? You want to talk about beds that have about that much cushion on a mattress with no pillow, an extremely thin blanket? You want to talk about trying to go to a bathroom in a wide open room where there's just 3 toilets sitting out in the middle, where you get no privacy? We get woken up for breakfast at 3:30 in the morning. Lunch is until 11. Dinner's not until 5. That place is hell. Fortunately, I was able to actually get on electronic monitoring. I spent 4 days sitting in Huber, and then I was able to get on electronic monitoring. So I had an ankle bracelet now, which, again, very uncomfortable. It's something that I felt very self-conscious about. It's something that I really tried to hide. But I remember very clearly, when I got home from jail, because I walked home, I only lived about 2 miles away, I actually picked up my phone and texted my daughter's mom. I said, I'm out of jail, I'm currently at home. She asked me, do you want me to bring Skylar over? I said, yes, please. I haven't seen my daughter in 4.5 days. This is the longest that I've gone without seeing her. She brought my daughter over. And as soon as my daughter saw me and I saw her, she ran up and she hugged me. And that hug, it could have gone on forever. And I made her one promise and one promise alone. I said, Dad's never going to leave like that again. And that's a promise that I intend to keep. And that's a promise that I am keeping to this day. That's a promise that I not only share with my daughter, but it's a promise I share with my wife, my stepdaughter, my family, my friends. After that day when I hugged my daughter, I looked at things in a very different world, very different way. I'm going to actually make something of myself. I want to actually do something. There was something about that hug that let that anger, that frustration, that hurt from all the things that happened, whether it's the 2 OWIs, whether it's the people that died in my life. All that went away. And I decided to do something different. That's what ultimately led me to this point in front of you today. I feel like everybody could learn something from my story. Maybe you can't see yourself in the exact situation, but maybe you can see something very similar. Maybe you can see some of those red flags, whether it's with your own children, your friends' children, your neighbors, whoever. The defiance that I showed with school, the seclusion, locking myself away in my room, whether it was as a child or an adult, just locking myself away, taking myself out of reality with drugs and alcohol. Personality changes, getting in trouble with the law. All those red flags right there, those are mine. What are yours? Do you see any red flags in yourself or your children? And being a father of 2, most of the time amazing children, the thing that scares me the most is there's very little that we can do to help. Because they're going to go through stuff. Everybody's got stuff. Everybody's got issues. And there's very little that we can do to stop it. The only thing that we can do is keep our hand out and keep trying to help. Let them know that we are there for them. Let them know they're not alone. Because as somebody that really did feel alone, that is a terrible place to be. Look for those signs. Look for those changes in their personalities. Whether it's their grades, whether it's their attitude in general. There is a fine line between a kid being just a rebellious kid and a kid that's screaming for help. Just be there. Take what I have gone through. Take the stories that I've told you tonight. Take that with you. Try to apply it. Try to see yourself in that same way. Try to look for those things in our kids. Our kids are our future. Let's make sure they don't go down the same road with drugs and alcohol like I did. I never want to see that for anybody. I never would want anybody to ever go through that. So I will open it up to some questions, if anybody's got any questions for me. I do want to open that up for questions at all. So does anybody have any questions about